All right, so if you're running a marketing agency and your clients keep leaving you because they're upset with the results they're getting or they're angry, even if you think you're delivering good results, then you're probably making the exact same mistakes that countless other agencies make that aren't in this space anymore. The thing is, when most agency owners lose clients, they blame their service delivery, they blame their pricing, or they even blame the competition. But here's the truth. You are your own worst enemy, and you don't even know half the time. And if you don't fix this in your agency, you're kind of just setting yourself up for disaster or failure. So my name is Jimmy. Everyone calls me Uncle Jimmy, and I've been running my agency, my online guide for over 10 years. And I'm also a coach over at EasyGrow, which is Charlie Morgan's program. You've probably heard of him before if you're in the SMMA space. So I've been running my agency for a very long time, and this is something I see all the time. And I just wish I could grab agency owners and shake them like this and go, mate, you're not doing anything wrong except for this one thing, and stop doing it. And that is over-promising and the over-promising trap. And this is a trap that catches out so many agencies because a lot of you are desperate for a sale. And because of that, you'll pretty much promise anything to get it. But this creates impossible expectations, and these impossible expectations are the reason that you're losing clients. And look, I get it. When you're sitting across from a potential client, whether that's on Zoom or whether it's face-to-face, and they're asking you what you can do for them, you really do feel the pressure. I know when I first started, I felt the same kind of pressure. You kind of want to say what you think will get them over the line, even though in the back of your mind, ooh, maybe I can't actually get those results. The thing is, you've got bills to pay, right? You've got team members that depend on you. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, this could be the deal that changes everything. This could be the deal that gets my agency off the ground. This deal could lead to a series of other deals. You can justify it all you want. So when they sit down and they put the screws on you and really ask you what kind of performance you're going to get for them, people tend to overpromise in that situation because your brain's screaming, yes, just tell them what you think they want to hear so that they sign up and worry about the consequences later. And unfortunately, that is actually what's taught in this space a lot. And I think it's the worst possible advice you can give because really it's just short-term thinking. But here's what you need to understand about doing that. You're not actually just selling a service. You're not selling your Facebook ads or your Google ads or your agency services. You're selling a promise. And that promise is really important because it's the measuring stick of everything you do after that. And I've seen this time and time again. You are in a sales call and you have a Freudian slip and you say you got to get this person 50 leads in their first month. Even if you get them 40 high quality leads, which is a really, really good result, and any person should be happy, unfortunately, because you promised 50 and that's what came out of your mouth, you failed in their eyes. It doesn't matter if you still got them good results, they'll still be disappointed, and the chances of them leaving you after that go up significantly. And like everything that I do, I learned this lesson the hard way. When I first started out, one of my first clients was a HVAC client, and I still remember this to this day. This is how much it affected me. This bloke called me up in the middle of summer, right? And he was like, I'm desperate for leads. I need leads because my business is going to shut down. And his air conditioning business was struggling and he needed 40 leads a month to keep the door open. Now, I at the time, I was doing a lot of diligence and I looked at his market and I did the research and I honestly thought that I could get him maybe 20, 25 solid leads. And after doing that diligence, I was pretty comfortable and I was like, oh, I could probably get him about 20 to 25 leads based on his budget. But when he asked if I could guarantee 40, I said yes, and I didn't even realize I did it. I just instinctually said that. And because I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh, it's not that much more. And I convinced myself I could make it work. And in the first month, I delivered bang on 25 leads, pretty much to the T, really qualified 25 leads. And these were people that were ready to go. And I was really proud of myself because I was like, these are 25 good leads. He's gonna be happy. And to be fair, he actually closed like 15 of the 25 and made like 40 grand in revenue. And I thought this dude would be over the moon. And we went into the second month and he was absolutely furious at me because I didn't get him 40. And I only delivered 25. And it didn't matter in his mind that I got him 25 solid leads and generating almost 40K in revenue. In his mind, I failed because I failed by 37.5%. And it didn't matter what I could say to this dude, like how much I explained it. He just could not get over the fact that I did not get him 40 leads, even though I fundamentally kept his business alive. And it kind of ran its course after that. We kind of butted heads a lot. And the next month, after 2 months, he left me a scathing review. He demanded a partial refund. And he also told others in the industry that I was unreliable and I didn't stick to my promises. All because I overpromised 15 leads that he didn't even need. And guys in my program and guys in EasyGrow ask me why I'm so big on making sure that you guarantee something that you can actually deliver. It's because of that experience I had when I first started. I am a big believer in learning from your mistakes. And if you make the same mistake twice, then you aren't learning. So I've never made that mistake again. If I think I can't deliver on what they're asking me to do, I'm just honest now, because it's better to be honest about what you think you can get them than overpromise just to get the results and then have to give them a partial refund or deal with what I did, which is the guy running around the industry telling everyone how crap I was. Because at the end of the day, fundamentally, like if you overpromise, even excellent results feel disappointing to clients. And I see this again and again. Case in point, what happened to me. This is the part, and like it's really, really frustrating and upsetting when you bust your ass for a client and you deliver them absolutely amazing results, but it's not the results they were expecting. And they're pissed because you just didn't hit the mark that you promised arbitrarily in a conversation. And that's why it's really important to understand that the problem isn't the results you're getting, because I see a lot of guys when they come on my calls, they're like, Jimmy, I'm just not getting this guy enough leads. I'm just not getting this guy enough business. He's not happy with me. And you need to understand that it's not the results. It's the expectations you set before you start working with the person. But here's the paradigm I want to drill in your head. Once I really truly believed in this, it fundamentally changed my thought process around expectations. You can do the exact same work for two different clients and deliver the exact same results. If you set the expectations differently for both of them, they will have different outcomes. It's crazy, even though you got them exactly the same result. So let me elaborate on that a little bit more. So think about it like this. If you go into a restaurant expecting a $200 meal and get served something worth $150, you feel like you're getting ripped off. But if you expect a $100 meal and you get the same $150 experience, you're singing from the rooftops about how amazing that restaurant is. And it can be the exact same meal, it's just how it's positioned. And agencies work exactly the same. The thing is, when you're working across multiple clients and you've been doing this for a long time, you realize that the leads you generate and the campaigns you run and the results you deliver, none of that actually changes. Generally, you're within 5 to 10% for every client. But the success of what you're actually doing in the client's eyes and the story the client tells himself about whether you succeed or fail is entirely based on what you promised them up front. And it's entirely based on the expectations you set with the client. So what I tell my coaching clients and what I teach in EasyGrow is really quite simple, because in the heat of the moment, you need something that you can just go, bang, that's what I'm leaning on. And you can instinctually bring it up quickly in your mind and be able to run with it. So instead of promising what you think you can deliver, just promise 10 to 20% less than that. That's all you have to do. So if you think you can get this guy 30 leads, promise 25 leads. And then just deliver what you actually think you can deliver. So you're basically pricing the meal for $100, but you're delivering a $150 experience. That's all you have to do. That change in expectation of under-promising and over-delivering will fundamentally change how long the client stays with you, and it'll fundamentally change their perception of you as an agency owner delivering good work. Because if you set it 10 to 20% or 20, 30% lower, and then you go 30% above that, you're exceeding the expectations, and the client's going to sing from the rooftops about how awesome you are, and there's a very good chance they're going to stay with you for longer. So let's say you're confident that you're going to be able to get 30 leads a month for your client. Just tell them you're going to get 20 to 25. Now, there is a chance that they may not go with you. Okay? Well, you'll cross that bridge when you get to it. But trust me, the difference in a client size between 30 and 20 leads is not a deal breaker a lot of the time. It's just about how you articulate and explain that value. But let's say you promise 20 leads. You can do literally the same work, get the same results, but when you deliver 30 instead of 25, the client thinks you're amazing instead of being disappointed. And this actually came about from the HVAC disaster I had when I first started. I worked with a dentist after this. This is about 6 months after, and I was confident that I could get him 40 new patients in a month. He had quite a big budget. He already had established ads. It was about just making them better. So I just thought, okay, even if I don't get this guy for 40, I don't want to have what happened to the HVAC guy happen to this dentist. I really needed this guy to stay with me for a long time. So I promised this guy that I would get him 30, and I delivered 38. And the guy was absolutely over the moon. He thought I was the best marketer in the world, and he stayed with me for years because the expectation was set there, and I went above that consistently every month because I actually knew I could get it, but it just took a bit of the pressure off me and It really just came down to the fact that I set expectations correctly. So just give it a try, guys. If you're consistently losing clients after a couple of months, just go into these sales meetings with this frame of mind. If I lose them over 5 leads, they were probably not the right fit for me anyway. But if they go ahead and we set the expectation lower, it gives me an opportunity to knock it out of the ballpark and for this client to get a real genuine wow moment and someone in this space over delivering on their promises. And the thing is, this shouldn't just be something you do for service. You really should be going through your whole life setting realistic expectations of people. You know, I see a lot of guys in my coaching program who will say they will rock up at a certain time and just don't, or they'll promise to give another person in the program a tool or a document and they just don't do it. The thing is, it's a learned skill like anything else. The more you start under promising and setting expectations appropriately and over delivering on that, everything in your life will get better. You know, an example of this is when people ask me why it takes us 4 weeks to set up an ad campaign. You know, I tell my guys, look, it only takes a day maybe to set up an ad campaign. But if I say it takes 4 weeks and I deliver it in 2, I become the absolute hero because I'm one of the few people in this space that's really genuinely going above and beyond what they're saying. It also allows me to account for unexpected issues that pop up, because that's another thing that happens when you set too high expectations. They rely on everything going perfectly. And as you know, a lot of the time it doesn't happen like that. And fundamentally, at the end of the day, not all of you guys are going to do this because it requires a lot of courage to promise less. There are too many that haven't had enough experience to realize that clients will not leave you if you offer them 10% less leads at point of sale. They will leave you if you promise 30 leads and get them 25. But like I said, only a small portion of you are going to action this and are going to benefit from setting appropriate expectations and exceeding them. Because yeah, it really does take guts, but it fundamentally comes down to short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. But honestly, doing everything properly in the agency space requires a decent backbone. It takes a lot of balls and a lot of personal fortitude to be able to sit on the other side of a table from someone that's demanding something and be able to go, no, wait a minute, this is what I could do for you, take it or leave it. It does require a lot of personal fortitude and a lot of experience. Now, if you don't have that experience yet, and maybe you're a little bit dubious of what I'm saying here, firstly, trust me, because I've been doing this for a very long time. And secondly, what have you got to lose? Honestly, what have you got to lose? If you over-promise and under-deliver, you're going to have to give them a partial refund anyway, because you won't hit your guarantees if you set it. And secondly, are you in this space for short-term gain? Or are you in this space to create an agency that supports your lifestyle well into the future? If you are, then you need to make decisions that have long-term effects on your agency, not just thinking about how you're going to get cash into the bank next month, thinking about how you're going to get cash for the next 2 years from this client. That's how you need to be thinking. And it's what separates the successful people in this space from the unsuccessful people in this space. And fundamentally, wouldn't you rather have positive expectations set with the client and they say happy for years than try and promise something to get a bit of cash in the bank and then they leave you after 2 months? What will make you feel better about the agency space and being in this space for the long haul? And don't get me wrong, you may lose deals doing this. But like I said, if you do lose deals over you getting 5 less leads for someone or 7 less leads for someone and they decide they don't want to go with you because of that, then honestly, you probably dodged a bullet, because that person will not be someone you want to work with long term. Trust me when I say that. Now look, this seems almost too simple to work. I'm having all these issues with client retention. I can solve 80% of them by just by under promising and over delivering. It sounds simple, but you got to remember, I've been testing these concepts for years and years and years with hundreds and hundreds of clients. And fundamentally, if you're in this game for the long term and you're tired of stressing out about clients, just try this with your next couple of prospects. That's all I'll ask you to do. Don't go balls deep if you're not ready for that. Just try it with a couple and see how it works for you. Promise 10 to 20% less than you know you can deliver and blow their minds when you over deliver for them. Now, I have a full system for how we keep clients happy and grow our agency sustainably. And I've shared them over at my community and in my paid program. You can learn more about those in the link below. But start with this one first. It's an easy, high impact, low effort activity that will change your agency forever. So why wouldn't you start there? Also guys, make sure to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content, and I'll see you in the next video.